The Hunter and the Encounter. Telm was hunting, gripping his spear between his six-fingered hands, using his 6 legs to move through the dense forest. His many eyes provided a superb vision of the surroundings, allowing him to track prey with ease. The trees were losing their leaves, creating a crunchy carpet that made hunting easier. Telm needed the meat of a zelva or something similarly sized to get his family through the winter. He raised the carapace that enclosed his torso, listening intently for any sound. Minutes passed in silence. This close to the village, he was unlikely to find any game. He decided to venture over the hills towards the large salty lake, hoping for better luck. As he moved, Telm scanned the area for signs of life, but it seemed the forest was devoid of his usual prey. Just as he was about to give up, Telm stumbled into a clearing and saw an unknown creature standing next to a tree. It had only 4 limbs, using 2 to stand upright, and the other 2 to pluck red leaves from the tree. The creature's body was covered in black, flexible skin, and it had no visible eyes or ears. Fascinated, Telm observed the creature, but the fading sun reminded him he had little time left. He wondered if he could hunt it. It was taller than him, but lacked a protective carapace. He stepped into the clearing, careful not to make noise, but the creature turned and looked directly at him. Deciding to rush his prey, Telm ran towards it. Suddenly, a shiny object appeared in the creature's upper appendages. It didn't look sharp, so Telm continued his charge. Then, a thunderous sound erupted, and pain shot through his body. Looking down, he saw a hole in his clothes. Before he could react, another thunderous sound caused more pain, cracking his carapace. Telm knew a broken carapace meant death. He tried a last-ditch effort to reach the creature, but his strength failed, and he crashed to the ground. The creature stood over him, having attacked from a distance with lightning. It could only be a god or a supernatural being. Telm's last thoughts before losing consciousness were of his foolish attack on a god. Awakening in the domain of gods, Telm awoke on a soft bed, unlike his own at home. His surroundings were strange, with walls the color of snow made from an unfamiliar material. His arms and legs were bound by a thick string, rendering him immobile. He looked down at his cracked carapace, now healed with only a small bump remaining. Confused, Telm tried to make sense of his situation. He remembered the encounter with the strange creature and his cracked carapace. He should be dead, yet he was alive and in pain. This couldn't be the afterlife the elders spoke of. How had his carapace healed? Broken carapaces couldn't heal. A hole opened in the wall, and another 2-legged creature entered, its head different from the first. It wore snow-colored clothing and looked at Telm, then at a flat plate from the wall. Shaking its head, the creature left. Telm wondered if he was in the domain of the gods. Telm's confusion grew. He had always believed in the stories of gods, but never expected to encounter one. He needed answers. As he lay there, his thoughts raced. What kind of beings were these? Why had they healed him? And what was their purpose? Learning and understanding. Days passed, and Telm observed the beings around him. They'd moved with purpose, performing tasks he couldn't understand. One day, a being approached him with a strange device, pointing it at him. A holographic image appeared, showing the internal structure of his body. Telm was amazed. The being spoke in an unfamiliar language, but its tone was gentle. It seemed to be explaining something. Telm tried to communicate, using gestures and expressions. Slowly, they began to understand each other. The being showed Telm images and symbols, teaching him their language. As Telm learned, he realized these beings were not gods but advanced creatures with incredible technology. They had healed him using their knowledge of biology and medicine. Telm's initial fear turned to curiosity. He wanted to learn more about these beings and their world. One day, the being took Telm outside. The landscape was different from his home, with towering structures and machines flying in the sky. Telm marveled at the sight. The being pointed to a large structure and said, "Home." Telm understood it was their dwelling place. As they walked, Telm saw other beings interacting with each other. They seemed peaceful and cooperative. Telm wondered if his own people could learn from them. He decided to approach the leader and request to learn their ways. The exchange of knowledge. Telm was brought before the leader of the beings, a wise and dignified figure. The leader welcomed Telm and expressed a desire for peaceful coexistence. Telm shared stories of his people, their customs, and their struggles. The leader listened intently, asking questions and showing genuine interest. In return, the leader explained their society, their history, and their technological advancements. Telm was fascinated by their achievements and the possibilities they offered. The leader proposed an exchange of knowledge, where both cultures could learn from each other. Telm agreed, eager to bring this newfound knowledge back to his people. The beings provided him with devices that could store and share information. Telm spent days learning about their technology, medicine, and ways of life. He marveled at their advancements and the potential they held for his people. As Telm prepared to return home, the leader gave him a gift, a small device that could communicate with their world. Telm thanked the leader and promised to return with more stories and knowledge. Returning home, Telm's return to his village was met with astonishment. His people couldn't believe he had survived and returned with tales of advanced beings. Telm shared his experiences, showing them the devices and explaining their purpose. The village elders were skeptical but intrigued. Telm demonstrated the healing device, curing a villager's injury within minutes. The elders were amazed and began to see the potential of the knowledge Telm had brought. They agreed to learn from the beings and consider ways to integrate their technology into their own society. Telm's people began to make progress, improving their healthcare, agriculture, and daily lives. The village thrived, and Telm became a respected figure, known as the one who had bridged the gap between two worlds. Building bridges, Telm continued to communicate with the beings, sharing updates and learning more about their advancements. He traveled back and forth, bringing new ideas and solutions to his people. The village transformed, becoming a model of progress and cooperation. Telm's efforts were recognized by both his people and the beings. He became a symbol of unity and understanding, showing that different cultures could learn and grow together. Telm's village became a center of knowledge, attracting visitors from other villages and even distant lands. The beings sent envoys to Telm's village, further strengthening the bond between the two worlds. Together, they worked on projects that benefited both societies, from medical advancements to sustainable farming practices. Telm's dream of a harmonious coexistence was becoming a reality. A new era. Years passed, and Telm's village flourished. The exchange of knowledge had brought prosperity and growth. Telm's people embraced the new technologies and integrated them into their daily lives. The village became a beacon of hope and progress. Telm reflected on his journey, from a hunter in the forest to a bridge between two worlds. He was proud of what he had achieved and grateful for the beings who had healed him and shared their knowledge. Telm knew that the future held endless possibilities, and he was excited to explore them. As the sun set on another prosperous day, Telm stood at the edge of the village, looking towards the horizon. He knew that this was just the beginning of a new era, one where cooperation and understanding would lead to a brighter future for all.